Welcome to another episode of the InfoTech Growth Partner Podcast, the podcast where the future of IT unfolds. And we dive deep into the pertinent developments in regards to IT and data with leaders and experts in the IT consulting field. My name is Jasper, and today I have the distinct pleasure to have Mikael Wiklund with me. Mikael is the CEO of Slimstock Sweden, and it's really an honor to have you on the show, Mikael. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Jasper. It's really nice to be here and looking forward to it. Thanks a lot for having me.
Me too. For the listeners or the viewers, can you give us a little bit of introduction on your background, what Slimstock does, of course, and of course what your role is within the company?
Yeah, of course. Maybe I'll start with myself. As you said, I'm Mikael. I live in Stockholm, born and raised in Sweden. As a Swedish guy. I've been working with similar kind of supply chain tools for, 15 years now. I came across and started at Slimstock in Sweden like a little bit more than 5 years ago. So basically are running the Swedish operation and making sure that we are doing great progress here in Sweden. And with progress, I mean, Slimstock is a privately owned company. It's a global company. We are present in all continents. We are basically in supply chain industry for knowledge. Actually, we basically present ourselves as a tech company, an eventment company, with our own tool for forecast and inventory management. So that's basically what we do. We are trying to develop the best tool possible. We are doing a lot of research. We have plenty of, let me tell you, like geeky people within the supply chain developing this software. And today we have more than 1,500 customers all over the globe. So, we're basically helping them to perfect their KPIs, to lower their inventories and have a better availability across all areas. So basically we are targeting retail companies, wholesale companies. We are going for e-commerce companies. In basically all industries, we are pushing stuff like fresh tomatoes to ready trucks through the system. So yeah, that's in short who we are and who I am.
Perfect. And indeed, what also really stood out to me, what you mentioned, like what we're trying to do is improve the KPIs of these businesses. Yeah. That is really, I think, very powerful because that really directly translates into actual business value. And in the end, whatever it is, reduced costs, increased revenue. Because what we see in, let's say, the IT consulting field, that it is pretty hard to determine like what is the actual bottom line business value of the things that we do with IT, with cloud, and those types of things. That's really something that stood out with Slimstock that really caught my interest.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, I have a previous background working with different IT solutions and also within marketing. But when you come to be able to implement a tool like this, like Slim 4 as we call it, you're actually contributing a lot to your customers, and I just love that because we have kind of a strict rule that says that if we can't fulfill like two things for our customers, and then we don't start a project. That's why we have a really high retention rate as well. That's kind of, it's so high, so it's ridiculous. It's impressive. It's more than 96% actually since we started, or since the company was founded 30 years ago. But the two things are basically, first of all, we need to be sure that we can make our customers be more effective, meaning that they use their time and their competence in the best way possible. That's one thing. And the other thing is, we need to save them money. And we do that because we can increase the availability as long as decrease the inventory levels. So with that said, if we do the pre-study correct, then we will have a fantastic, loyal and happy customer. And that's, it's a thrill to be doing this for a living, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine. And we'll zoom in a little bit on that 96% retention rate later, because I think that is definitely very impressive and definitely showcases the value that you bring to customers. I want to move on into a little bit of, going into growth. As you mentioned, you joined Slimstock about 5 years ago. It's a global company,
Yeah.
and you've really been heading the Swedish part of the business, sort of building another small unit within the organization as a whole.
Correct.
Can you walk us through these last couple of 5 years and how this journey of growth went?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when I joined, we had some kind of small business already in Sweden, because we started in Denmark for like 10 years ago, Sweden a few years after. But it really didn't, we didn't really hit a good footprint in Sweden. And when I joined, I could see a couple of things why that hasn't happened yet. And first of all, I mean, it's really hard. In the end, any business is people make a business and buying from people, and you need to have the right people at hand, because we also believe that even if we are a global company, some of the strength is to take the global knowledge on every customer, on every employee in the company, and to bring it in a local way. So that's the first step that is really important. So after I've been here for a while, I was the only one because, I wanted really to start with a clean sheet and start over. And the thing is, when you are new to, I mean, let's be fair, for me, it was a dream situation, because I could be able to develop and do what I wanted, that I thought was the best for the Swedish market. But I didn't need to gamble that much, because we already had a global company, we had the software, we had a production and everything. So with that said, it was a fantastic opportunity for me to get here and to try to build something for myself and for the global company within Sweden, but doing that with the strength and muscles from the mother company. So, and this is an amazing company and so many talented people. So I have had a blast. And I mean, since we were kind of small when I got here, it was kind of easy the first 3 years to just, double the revenue. And then when we got to that point, started to really attract the right consultants and the right people to have on board locally in Sweden. And I think the next part of the puzzle was to have all those new consultants, employees, to be part of the global organization, because when they find friends and equal colleagues in other countries, in other parts of the world, and be able to take all that knowledge and to bring it to the Swedish market in a local way, that's when it really hit it off. So we have continued to grow with like 50% the last 2 years as well, and we will do a little bit more than that this year. That's already closed. So we have a steady team now, based in Stockholm, like 10 people, and they're fantastic people. I'm enjoying myself a lot, and it's a fantastic journey, and it feels like it just have been started actually. So yeah.
Wow, thank you. And yeah, especially the thing that you mentioned in the beginning, saying, Slimstock is an already established brand. The software has showcases its value already in a lot of other countries. So for you, it's not easy, of course, but you already have a good foundation that you can build upon, and you can use your knowledge about the Sweden market to really apply that specifically to Sweden. I want to touch upon that a little bit deeper, because, you mentioned it yourself, we're growing 50% plus every year. And every business, of course, knows that growth in a way is important, because if you don't grow, you're sort of losing. You can lose market share. People competition will grow. So you will be losing your position in a way. Can you talk us through the importance of growth in a business? And of course, it's a pretty vague question, but why do you think it's not or do you even think it's not simply just about increasing numbers, increasing revenue, or is there more to it in terms of growth?
Well, that's an interesting question. And just to back up a little bit, first of all, we are the only niche company in our business that still are privately owned. We don't have any mortgages. We are doing great. So with that said, well, you could say that we don't need to grow because we are kind of happy where we are at the moment. But obviously, you want to grow because you need the development. You need a challenge. You need to drive through new goals. But I think the luxury we have, since we are still privately owned, no mortgages, we can grow in the way we think fits us the best. And with that said, fits the customers best. So do we turn down some opportunities? Yes, we do, because going back to what I said earlier, the two things that we are looking for, we need to be able to make the customers more effective and also help them save money. If you don't see that, well, we just turn it down, even if they want to have our solution. So we have that luxury to do that. And to be able to pick our customers is the wrong word, because as you know, it's still hard work and it's a great competition out there. But to have that kind of luxury with a secure mother company and everything in place, I think for me, going back to the local things in Sweden, for me it's been more like, okay, how far can we take it in terms of what can we actually do locally, and where do we need help and resources from outside, and still it's like we're doing, I would say 90% of everything by ourselves in Sweden, but then we have support in the UK, we have support in other countries. Obviously, the development of the software, we are affecting it, but we're not doing it because that's made in UK and Spain and in the Netherlands. So we have that kind of support, and when we go to far deep knowledge and experience, well, then we need to have our colleagues in other countries. And so the collaboration between basically all the countries are fantastic as well. Maybe I'm drifting a little bit here, but it's so fun to talk about the company, because it's an amazing company.
Yeah, and I really feel that, and again, that it's the 96+% retention rate is really a testament of the value that you bring as a company, the collaboration that you have internally, all the knowledge that you have in the developments, and as you mentioned, well, you're able to turn down clients that you don't think you can help, which I think in turn is also the biggest reason for that retention rate.
I would say that's one of two things why we are.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, then I jumped right into it. Yeah, because obviously, if you don't take any risky projects, well, we actually know that we will have a happy customer, and a happy customer will stay with us. So that's one thing. But the other thing, and I think in one way that's also coming back a little bit to being privately owned, that we can actually, since we know that we are globally growing every year, basically each local country is growing every year, and we do it with profit, then you know how important it also is to continue with this high retention rate. So with that said, if it costs us a little bit extra, if it takes a little bit longer to implement for some reason, if we need to take some extra care and love for some customers, we are happy to do it, because we know in the end we will grow with happy customers, happy company. Well, everybody is enjoying themselves. So with that said, it's really easy to make a decision to go and help out our customers once more than don't do it. It's an easy choice. So yeah.
And I think like typically finding a new client costs way more than being able to keep working for an existing client, both from a marketing and sales standpoint, the time that you have to put in to find a new client, but also on the delivery standpoint, because you already understand your clients' business, you already have built some trust with them, they trust you, you can find new opportunities to bring more value to them. So really a high retention rate, I think is really a great sign of as you mentioned, a healthy business and a business that's able to grow even further in the future. I want to dive a little bit deeper on the in general on the fact that you have been growing a smaller unit within this bigger company that Slimstock is. For some people listening who might be at the earlier stages of building their business or building a particular unit within their business, is there any specific advice, specific experience that you had from that growing that part of the business? Any strategies or philosophies that have guided you in making the right decisions in building up this unit within Slimstock?
Well, if I would put 4 things that are important, then I would say that the first 3 of those things are get the right people. In the end, you will not, even if you have a fantastic product in the background, in the end, you will not be better than the people you have around you. So I said that's the most important thing. And you can find amazing, talented people without, well, it costs, obviously, but it's worth it in the end. And we are happy to say, I find, as I mentioned, and I think I also show in one way, I find fantastic employees, colleagues to work with. And they are kind of young. I'm not that young anymore, but the staff we have in Sweden are kind of young, and that's amazing. If you find the right talent within the right knowledge, with the right ambition and right goals, and the right personalities, then you're good to go. So I would say that's the first 3 things. And the 4th topic then would be, and then I'm lucky because I have been given the trust to do it the way I think is the best for Sweden. And since we have, as mentioned a couple of times now, a steady privately owned company in the background, I'm able to do that because it's not like, okay, if you don't make this result by the end of this year, then we will shut it down. It has not been like that at all. So I have had the confidence and the time to build it the way I think is the best way. And that's not always rushing things. It's better to have a steady foundation to actually build on. So, and that can be hard from time to time. We have grown 100%, 100%, 100%, 50%. So it hasn't been a problem. But obviously sometimes when you are in Q1 and you're looking at the forecast and shit, how will this year turn out? To be able to just lean back and be confident is, okay, I know I have the right people. We are doing the right stuff. Good things will happen. And just rest in that. And well, so far it has worked out quite well.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, definitely the people part that you mentioned is so important, but also so difficult, especially in this market where the demand for technical people, for IT people, for developers is extremely high. They have a lot of opportunities, but yeah, it is very important to find those right people. On one hand, with the right skills, but on the other hand, with the right attitude, philosophies, etc., as you mentioned. And I always I hear that sometimes is that if you hire, you of course want to hire A team people, what they call it, like the best people. But if you hire B team people, they will hire C team people, which will in turn really limit the growth and the quality of the business. So yeah, that people are so important, but it's very hard in this current environment to find and retain the right people.
Now you're talking about something really important that I want to mention as well, because as I said, I have hired, compared to be quite young people, meaning I have not hired people with decades of experience. And with that said, it's easier for me to shape them in one way. in the way that we would like to have employees within the whole company. But we also need to have some confidence in that they will get the knowledge, even if they don't have. I mean, obviously I'm looking for the right background, but personality is even more important for me. And as I said, since I have the trust to do it in the time I want to do it and in my way, well, and we also have so much knowledge in the global company that they can learn from and take help from, and we are like a small family globally, and that's how we try to help each other. And it's always like this. You need to I mean, we are like most privately owned companies, kind of flat organization. If I have any issue with anything, I just pick up the phone and call whoever suits the best for that kind of call. And with that said, if we need help, if it's the CEO that needs to help us, he will happily help us. No questions asked. So with that said, it's doable and easier to hire not finished people, but people that you can actually grow. And then again, what you said, I guess the upcoming challenge for me, the closest year coming from now is to keep them. I think they are happy here, but still they are young. They are in the mid-term career. So, well, I will have to figure that out, but I think I will succeed in that as well. So fingers crossed.
You definitely will. Yeah. And as you mentioned yourself, like, and especially I think because you're building a smaller unit, you can give them a lot of responsibility as well, instead of them going into the big business and trying to build up through the ranks. They can really get a significant role in Slimstock Sweden in this case, which will help them grow, will help them see the value that they bring in the company, and hopefully indeed help retain them. But again, you never know, as you mentioned yourself. These smart people have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to go back a little bit to the thing that you mentioned in the beginning, the KPIs that you help companies with, that you help improve the business value that you bring. Can you give us some examples of actual real world cases of things that you did with clients? You obviously don't have to name names, you don't have to mention names, but just to spark the mind, let's say it like that, and really spark the imagination of people listening.
Yeah, take typical, let's say a typical e-commerce company. Kind of straightforward, easy for us. It's 1 or 2 warehouses, maybe a few stores, but mainly doing e-commerce business. And the typical results is, say that they are, before we join them or help them, they are having a availability that are between 85 and 95% across the products. Then we increase that so we can stay maybe between 95 and 98% instead. But we do this, and usually we also decrease the inventory value with 20 to 30%. So I mean, in the end, we are creating more business for them because they have the right product in stock when they have a need for it. But we also free capital for them to do other investments and grow in other areas because they don't need to have that much inventory. So that's a typical. I mean, that's how you talk to the CFO to say, this is what we're going to do. This is what the end result will be for you. Are you okay with it? Well, at first they don't believe it, and then they just it's like, oh shit, it was even better. But so that's a great way. But I would say that's just one part of it. The other part is, I mean, when we sell, when we have a new client, we implement it, they go live, they use the system for a while, they reach this kind of KPIs. I mean, it's always nice to just knock on the CFO's door and say, are you happy? Because they can't hide their smile, because they are happy. But I would say the most satisfying moments for me is to meet the purchasers, the supply chain directors, because they have finally the ability to use their time and their knowledge, their background and everything in the best way, because they don't need to take, for example, if you have a pharma retailer,
Mhm.
You have 200 stores across Sweden. And Sweden, as you know, is a small country, but it's a big country and it's a long country. So it has the need for different kind of drugs are very different depending on where in Sweden you are. If you're taking like medicines for when all the trees are, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And for the purchaser then to not be able, have the need to send 10 boxes of this there, 10 boxes of this there, 10 boxes of this there, because that's already taken care of by the software, because we have the right forecast, we have the seasonality, we have all the trends and everything. So that's just happening without the need to look at it. But then they can actually dig into, okay, we had a difficult product or product group last year. Why was that? Why was it difficult to predict?
Yeah.
Was it because the pandemic? Was it because the war? Was it because the Suez Channel? What was it? To dive into that, and then they are becoming more effective. Their end results of their work is way better, and they are more satisfied because they're doing well a better job and a more fun job. So I think that's for me actually even more satisfying to talk to the purchasers and supply chain directors and then the CFO, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. So it's not just about savings. It's not just about efficiency. It's about empowering people, putting them into their strength, getting them to leverage their skills with the insight that you can provide with the platform that you guys have.
Correct.
Which I think is great. Uh, I want to look a little bit into the future based on your experience. I want to ask you whether you have an idea about the future where, let's say, inventory management goes, where supply chain goes, based on your experience and your knowledge.
That was a broad question.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I mean, I've been working in this kind of area for 10, 15 years now, and I actually believe that most companies in Europe or in the world are still kind of immature when it comes to supply chain. And it's not, I mean, everybody's doing the best they can, and everybody has processes and ways to work that are very efficient and very good for their situation. But it's also based on the current situation. And that could be Excel. It could be that you're just trying to do this in the ERP system, or you have an no longer updated supply chain tool or whatever. Because there are a few tools out there, us included, that are really brilliant and really can help basically everyone within the supply chain to develop and making better results and be more efficient. But I mean, even Sweden, I mean, in the Nordics, we are kind of IT heavy. We are early adopters up here, but I still meet kind of big companies that still doing the forecast in Excel, and it's like, whoa, okay, let's take this up a few notch, and it's kind of easy when they understand that, okay, it's going to be an implementation, it's going to be some investment in time, but the result will be so much better. And thing is, and I think that's what many companies trying to realize or going to realize right now, because you had a pandemic that was a hazard for many companies. And understand me correctly, the pandemic was a lot of fun for us. Don't misunderstand me, because we could see that all our customers, or most of our customers, had so different demands from before. So how can we help them to, in a second, react to the market? Meaning, suddenly some of their products will never sell an item for 2 or 3 years, but you didn't know that, and you didn't know for how long. And other items are just accelerating in sales, and new items. There's a demand for new items and so on. So to be able to have everything in easy to use tool with a good insight and overview to be able to track those kind of signals and handle it as quick as possible. So you don't need to, once again, you have the products when you have the need, but you don't overstock the products where you not have a need. So that's one thing. And I mean, I think we all thought that when the pandemic's kind of ebbed out, it's, well, back to normal business. And then we have the Suez Canal, and then we have the war. So I mean, it's a never-ending story. And with that said, it's more important than ever to actually have a good visibility and keep track of your KPIs, your assortment, your warehouse, your inventory levels, and in the end, be able to smell or feel the small adjustments or the big adjustments, and which kind of products is this affecting, and be able to act as soon as possible. So with that said, I think our business have a bright future. And when I say that, I mean, we need, I mean, in the end, I don't want to go political here, but we need to take care of the environment as well. And we have the slogan for the last 30 years that is no more waste. And when we talk about no more waste, people usually tend to think that when they go to the grocery store and you have fruits that have been there for too long, you need to throw them away. Obviously, that's not good. And we help them with that as well. But it also goes for, I mean, fashion. If you have clothing that you are manufacturing too many of, you will just, well, you don't have a need for it, you can't sell it, and that's not good for the environment, it's not good for your business, it's not good for your economy, and it doesn't help any customers. But then you also have another thing of this, and that goes for shipments and transport. I mean, if you're not sure how much you need to order, usually you order a little bit too much, and then you need one more truck, you need one more flight, and that's not good for the environment. Obviously, in the end, it's not good for your customers, it's not good for your inventory levels, it's not good for your financials, but it's not good for the environment either. So no more waste is so much broader than just fruits in the supermarket. Yeah. And to just conclude that with no more waste, it also goes for don't waste your time, don't waste your energy, don't waste your talent. I mean, let the software do what the software do best, and you take care of the rest with your competence and your talent and your time. So that's also waste that we don't want to lose, right?
Wow. There's nothing I can add to that. I think that's a great way to end the podcast. No more waste, which has a lot of, well, has unlimited effects on all things, on people, on the environment, on your business, etc., etc. I really want to end with that. Thank you. If someone is watching or listening to this podcast and wants to learn more about you, wants to talk with you, wants to learn more about Slimstock, where can they find you?
Slimstock.com, and then you have the different languages. If you want to speak to me specifically, just go to SE for Sweden, the blue and yellow flag, and then you find me. But I mean, no matter where you are in the world, we will help you, and you will find the right contact on slimstock.com.
Perfect. I'll make sure that that's in the description as well, that people can find you. Perfect. Mikael, I really want to thank you for this great conversation. I've learned a lot from it, hopefully the listener as well, and I really enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot. Really nice of you to have me, and take care.
Thank you.
Cheers.